It's 4 p.m. And with that, we'll call this meeting of the Douglas County Commissioners to order. Let the record reflect that all 5 county commissioners are here. And we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Ms. Lewis and Dina.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I thank you for the chance to redeem myself. Please stand and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Sir, you're muted.
Okay, unmuted. And thank you, Ms. Lewis, for leading us in the pledge. We'll move on to public comment. No action is taken. Public comment cards and comments left on the county's website prior to the board meeting have been compiled and made a part of the supporting materials that have been provided to the county commissioners and public for review. Only 2 periods of public comment will be taken during this meeting, one at the beginning of the board meeting and again at the end of the meeting. Public comment will not be taken on each agenda item. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person who has left a voice message in Douglas County's public comment phone line 775-783-6007 once a public comment period has been opened. Once public comment closes, the voice messages will be played to the public and the county commissioners in the order they were recorded. No more than 1 voice message public comment per person will be played during each public comment period. Douglas County's public comment phone line became available to the public for public comment at 4 p.m. Public comment will remain open for at least 5 minutes to allow members of the public to call in or until the last caller has finished leaving a voice message on the county's public comment phone line. The board wants to encourage the respectful consideration of all views by members of the public. If the content of any voicemail is willfully disruptive of the meeting by being irrelevant, repetitious, slanderous, offensive, inflammatory, irrational, or amounts to a personal attack or interfering with the rights of others, the voice message will be skipped to the next public comment. At this time, public comment will be those items within the jurisdiction and control of the Board of County Commissioners. Do we have any public comment?
Me pool for the record, not at this time.
Okay. We'll wait for 5 minutes. And it's 4:03, so it was opened at 4. We've got 2 minutes.
Chairman Penzel, Amy Poole for the record. We just received a voicemail.
Okay. Is it complete? Do you want to play it now?
Yes.
Okay. We'll stop the clock.
Commissioner Walsh, your insulting comments to 3 of our citizens who applied to write the con argument on the RDA 2 ballot question were completely inappropriate and uncalled for. Elected and appointed officials have thick skin. There will always be time when residents of the county express their unhappiness with commissioners' decisions. Certainly Commissioners Nelson and Engels have received their share of abuse. All of you have. For you to lash out at these 3 citizens was unprofessional and offensive. You should apologize to them and to the public. Equally disturbing to me and others was your false statement that the written comments by Moss Adams on page 486 of yesterday's agenda were not political, but were actually facts. That absurd claim was apparently based on the statement that their information came from stakeholders who'd been interviewed. Of course, Moss Adams didn't reveal who these stakeholders were, and I'm sure you don't know. Wouldn't surprise anyone if it included the Chambers of Commerce, the Business Council, Realtors Association, building industry, development community, gaming industry, including big developers like Park and Pegram. Most residents would call them special interest groups, not stakeholders, and would be concerned that their primary motive was profits. not the community good. Moss Adams' claims regarding a small minority of residents with strong anti-development sentiments and NIMBYs is clearly political. If you don't see that, you're delusional. Have you forgotten that SGI and the growth ordinance were both approved by the voters of our county? Do you not remember that in the introduction to our 96 master plan, our residents expressed their desire to keep our rural character and stated that they feel strongly that a high quality of life, particular features which make this county so attractive, such as open space and scenic beauty, should be a high priority? The people that support slow, appropriate growth in the right place at the right time are the majority, not a small minority. The so-called stakeholders, they are the small minority. One need only look to last week to see evidence of that. You ran for re-election against a political newcomer fairly recently arrived from California. You had the support of the Chambers of Commerce, the Farm Bureau, Sheriff Protection Association, firefighters, Planning Employees Association, our state senator and an assemblyman. The list goes on. And you didn't just lose, you got crushed. It was more than a landslide, it was a tsunami. Why was that? It was because you were out of touch with the people of our county, particularly when it came to your cheerleading and support for the Park Ranch Master Plan Amendment and Development Agreement, and probably RDA 2 as well. A gracious loser, especially one who had gotten crushed 60 to 40%, would recognize that a majority of the residents don't share your viewpoint, especially on development issues, and would ride out their lame duck period without making waves. You should especially step away from the master plan update and leave that to the next board to complete, rather than trying to cram it through in 6 months.
Ellie Waller, W-A-L-L-E-R. I participated in listening to the RTC meeting today. There was some misunderstanding. I did not request that the RTC do an update. Staff, John Erb, do an update to the RTC. I requested yesterday at your board meeting that you as commissioners and the public get an opportunity to better understand what is committed toward the Main Street Management Plan, the Loop Road, US Highway 50, and owning a 1.1 mile.
That one was cut off, and that is the last public comment that I have.
It was the last public one that you have?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll wait till 4:12. All right. We've reached the magic hour, and we'll move on the agenda. And so we need approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the agenda as presented.
Second,
And who said the second? Was it Mr. Nelson?
Dave.
All right, David. Thank you. So we have a motion by Commissioner Walsh, a second by Commissioner Nelson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right. The motion is approved. Any nays? No nays, so the motion is approved. Now we'll move on to the administrative agenda. I'll read the item into the record. Clerk Treasurer, item 1 for possible action, discussion to approve the canvass of the returns from June 9, 2020 primary election in compliance with NRS 293.387 and order the county clerk to certify the abstract, prepare a mechanized report, and transmit it to the Secretary of State. Ms. Lewis, 15 minutes.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you guys for meeting with us at 4 o'clock on the last day to canvass the results. I wanted to start off by saying a big thank you to staff, to my staff, and to Dina. We made this decision to request from the Secretary of State's office to make it a mail-in election at the end of March. And if you remember back at the end of March, we didn't know what would happen with COVID, how far it was going, what would happen. And so we made every clerk in Nevada made the decision as a group to request with the Secretary of State's office. That was less than 90 days before the election. And if you ever get a chance to be involved in conducting an election, that is a very short time frame to turn things around. So I really appreciate my staff. Tina took the lead, and she is super organized. We talked a little before the meeting started, and very control-minded to make sure we had the proper controls to conduct a successful election. I'll quickly go through some stats I have for you, and then we'll be ready for questions. On the second page of the supplemental material that we, thanks to the County Manager's Office, was able to post last night, is a printout from our voter registration system. And this voter registration system shows that we gave vote credit, or we will give vote credit to 18,297 voters. And then if you look at the results on the next page, it's a little line underneath the heading that says votes cast was 18,297. It's one of those very important controls that everybody who submitted a ballot that we accepted with a signature was counted. And that's one of the controls that we have there. Douglas County amazingly turned out for election like they do every election. Our turnout was overall 47.7%. That is the highest turnout for a primary election. I went back to 2010. In 2010, it was 42%, and this is the highest one since then. So great turnout. I will say that Humboldt beat us out for the highest turnout for countywide. Usually we are first in the state, but they just nudged us out a little bit on that. I think that is it, that this is to certify the results. I know there's been a lot of discussion, and Mr. Nelson has a lot of thinking to do about a recount, but he can't officially request that recount until these results are certified, and then he has the time clock to do that. So we're open for any questions.
Questions from the board? Commissioner Ingalls.
Ms. Lewis, I heard a rumor you're taking your staff out for margaritas this afternoon.
I wish I would have thought of that. Now it's out there, and I wasn't going to do that. I was going to do Costco shopping because I'm off early.
Oh, well, can I give you a list? Mr. Nelson.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Dana and Kathy for doing a great job with this election. I think it's very difficult to do an all-mail-in election. I think a lot of people didn't like it. So I'm amazed there were as many people that voted as they did with all mail-in. I thought it would be less, not less than regular, but no more than regular. So I was really surprised. and I think you did a great job. Thank you.
Very
Thank
nice
you,
of you,
Mr.
Mr. Nelson. Any further questions? Seeing none.
I will, and not to talk, I will say though, you know, you look back and there's always things that you could have done better. And the one thing that we tried to put out there, we had the county manager's office help us, but to get more information of the controls we had in place, because this was so new to the majority of our voters. I think I've said before, 20% have voted in the last election by mail, but the other 80%, this was a new process too. So I wish we could have been out there more for people that in public formats to ask us what controls we have in place, because it is very controlled. But thank you for the compliment.
All right. Any further comments? If there are no further, Dave, did you have another comment?
No, I was just moving my head from my head.
Okay. Since there are no further comments, then I think we're open for a motion.
Mr. Chair, as soon as I find my page, I'll let you know how the motion goes. I move that we approve the canvass of elections, the canvass of returns from June 9, 2020 primary election in compliance with NRS 293.387, and order the county clerk to verify the abstract, prepare a mechanized report, and transmit it to the Secretary of State.
I will second.
So a motion by Commissioner Walsh, a second by Commissioner Rice. Any comments? Seeing none, call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries 5-0. And that would conclude our business, and we'll have to call for public comment.
Mr. Chair, Amy Poole, for the record, we have no closing public comment at this time.
Okay, so we have none, so we'll wait for 4:24. Give people time to call in. It's 4:19.
Mr. Chair, we just received a voicemail. I'll play it.
Good afternoon. This is Dana Meyer, DANNAMEYER. I'm not calling on a specific agenda item, but I did hear the first person who called in that thought that Mr. Walsh should apologize to the 3 people that he supposedly insulted. It's been 8 months. 8 months that I haven't had one word from Mr. Commissioner Engel about he was sorry that he was so abusive. And I just want to, I'm still waiting. You never know, it might happen again. Bye.
I'm letting the time run since that was a short message and we still have 2.5 minutes. Is that acceptable, Mr. Ritchie?
Doug Ritchie with the District Attorney's Office for the record. Yes, Chairman, you have the discretion to give the public additional time to submit closing public comment.
Well, I was giving them 5 minutes. And that was in the middle of the 5 minutes. And we still have 2.5 minutes to go. I think that's fair. I'm sure I'll hear about it, but all right, we've reached waiting for 5 minutes. Any comments from commissioners?
Nope.
All right, and then for the good of the order, we would declare this an adjourned meeting. And thank you all for showing up. I appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Spool, for getting this organized, and you all have a good rest of your day. See you at Costco, Ms. Lewis.